I swear to God, I don't have a problem. First off, let me just say this isn't abnormal for me to spend such an absurd amount of time on a game, but I think Animal Crossing New Horizons surpasses all of them by a long shot. I'm pretty sure I'm teetering on the brink of a borderline obsession with this game. As of recording this video, I have a grand total of 700 hours according to Mr. Nintendo. Also, this is my first Animal Crossing game in the series. I've watched my cousins play Wild World and City Folk when they came out, so I knew of the series, but this is my first hands-on experience with the franchise. I just wish they would have told me sooner and prevented me from ending up on My Strange Addiction or something. I'll never forget the fabled March 20th, 2020, the day that both Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing New Horizons came out, the day that'll live forever in the history books. Being a broke college student, I knew I had a choice between the two. Animal Crossing was a game series that I knew that I might like, but never really tried out, and it was made by Nintendo, so I knew I really couldn't go wrong with this decision. And there was also Doom Eternal. Now, I loved Doom 2016 to death, and I knew that Doom Eternal was planning to be something more. And if I pre-ordered it, I got Doom 64, which is a Doom game I had never even played before. So which one did I end up picking? I got Doom Eternal, and I got a firm grilling from my local Animal Crossing superfan Harley because she wanted someone to play Animal Crossing with. Who has more hours in the game now, huh? Who is the new local Animal Crossing superfan? Who wanted an Animal Crossing Switch and missed out and really regrets it because they wanted one when it was too late? I am immensely grateful she bought Animal Crossing for me day one, and if it makes you feel any better, 700 hours later and I still haven't even beaten Doom Eternal's campaign. The game has had me hooked ever since, and even gave me something to look forward to during that prolonged period of isolation we all went through. I've played every day now, and now that the game's been out for over a year, I figured it'd be a good idea to check out my island. It isn't anything super crazy like some of the absurd stuff I've seen on Twitter and Instagram. I definitely don't have that same amount of insane levels of creativity that you guys have, but I am pretty proud of my island and wanted to show it off once I was done customizing and terraforming it. So, 700 hours later, I present to you Peen Island. I figure it's only fitting that I start off at the airport since it's ideally the first thing you'd see if anyone ever visited my island. From the airport, you're immediately greeted by resident services. I had no idea that you couldn't move resident services when you first create your island, and have regretted it ever since because it has limited some of the ideas I had for terraforming and such. I will also use resident services as a frame of reference throughout the video since my island doesn't have a singular path, and it would just be easier to start here after each portion of the island to prevent any unnecessary backtracking. Also, we are greeted by a sign that states that there are no geese welcome on the island. Goose was one of the first villagers I had on my island, and I absolutely despised him. This scoundrel was always roided up and had fleas on him, and ever since then there was a ban on any and all geese on my island. I'm sorry, Benedict, you seem like a chill dude, but I can't have it on Peen Island. Right at the entrance there are also some holly bushes. I tried to keep these scattered all around the island just because I really like the way they look in the wintertime and can't be bothered to switch them out every month when there's another bush in season. Oh, and before I forget, let me show you my villager passport in case you want the dream address and my creator ID. And this is my island map, the beautiful Isle del Peen. Moving from top to bottom, the villagers I have on my island are Francine, Pietro, Snake, Gaston, Patty, Coco, Kabuki, Bob, Poppy, and Lucky. I am pretty satisfied with my lineup of villagers and attained most of them through either Nookazon or purchasing the actual amiibo cards. I don't see myself switching out this lineup anytime soon, but wouldn't be surprised if I let a villager or two go. My all-time favorites are Patty and Lucky. Patty is such a sweetheart and the best villager in Animal Crossing hands down. Anyone that states otherwise is subject to be placed on a watch list. I will admit that for the longest time I thought that Patty's OG shirt was an actual stake on her shirt and fell in love at first sight, but was a little heartbroken when it turned out to be just an orange shirt, but that doesn't change anything. The only other villager that would come close to winning my heart over like Patty is Woolio. Now Woolio is not in Animal Crossing New Horizons, but that is only because Mr. Nintendo was simply intimidated by his existence. My second favorite villager is Lucky. He looks a lot like Snoopy and I wish I could manifest his spooky vibe all year round. Getting back to the actual island, if we go to the right of resident services, we are greeted to my poor man's attempt to cottagecore or flowercore or whatever the hell you want to call it. You're going to notice a lot of flowers on this island. I am a 20-year-old man that is obsessed with the aesthetic of flowers in real life, and when I found out that I could have that in this game, I went overboard. The first house in the small area is Patty's. Patty is a peppy villager and is the first villager I actually enjoyed reading dialogue from after I was subjected to Goose at the start of the island's inception. Going inside, I'd like to admit that I have a confession to make. This isn't the Patty that I originally fell in love with. This is Patty 2.0. I unfortunately had to let go of the original Patty because she had that shitty house the game gives all of your OG villagers, but we got her back and she's still living her best life, and it also gave me an excuse to get her villager photo twice. Leaving the house, you also notice that I have most of my villagers' photos outside of their house. I think this looks a lot nicer to have a visual than having to click on their little nameplate outside their house. It's a nice touch. It makes anyone who visits my island super jealous that they don't have any of their villager photos. Moving to the bottom of the area, there are some beach chairs and palm trees for my villagers to relax in, and above that we have Francine's house. Francine is a snooty rabbit villager, and you already know from the start that she is manifesting some sort of bad bitch energy because she is wearing Wulio's shirt and her initial catchphrase is carrot. She is one of the Bubblegum sisters, and while it was originally my plan to have both Chrissy and Francine on the same island right next to each other, I didn't want to have another peppy villager to compete with Patty, so I ended up snagging just Francine. To the right of Francine's house, we immediately transition into the tiki/beach bar area. This is one of the first micro environments I made for my island, and I always thought it was kinda cute, and once Festival came, its furniture gave me more reasons to leave it. I really like the custom design starfish I had on the ground and the little spa area next to it. Below that we have a small area with some coolers, chairs, and a grill. I was initially hoping that this would be an opportunity for Gaston to drink a Coors Light by the grill, but none of my villagers ever interacted with the furniture I set out for him. So instead it became one of the many spots Jitters would sell ketamine to my villagers until he died when his meth lab exploded. I still don't have many ideas for my beach, so throughout my island you're going to see random outdoor furniture scattered across it until I have an idea of what to put there. Starting back up at Resident Services, we are going to go to the right again where we are greeted to DJ Ice Davis. A little more to the right and we have this area where I used to water my flowers for duplication purposes. I really love this area and kind of miss having to pester all my friends to log on for 10 minutes to water my flowers so I had a higher chance of getting gold roses. Moving on from there, we have the first pumpkin farm I created. Pumpkins and fruit are a huge moneymaker for me on my island. I also think they make good decorations lying around on the ground fully sprouted. I really hope Mr. Nintendo adds more vegetables for us to grow. We also have a couple butterfly models I got from Flick and stalls that have seeds and watering cans for decoration. We also have a crafting table here from when I used to craft watering cans, but now I can't be bothered anymore and just buy them from Nook's Cranny whenever a tool breaks. Moving on from the garden/breeding area, we pass the same water fountain from before, and to the right I put a little changing area together for anyone who goes swimming on the beach. I know this has no ideal purpose, but I thought it was a cute idea. There's a changing room, a shower, and a drinking fountain like you'd see if you'd went to the beach. Going upward a little more, you'll see my flower museum. I have every flower and every color in the game documented and accounted for. This is one of those situations where I wish I had more room in my island because I can't fence off the area where the land cuts off into the sand. This is also a good time to check out my pathetic beach. We have a cannon in case Gulliver washes ashore again, a really dope looking lighthouse, some funky stones, and a satellite that powers my VPN so I could hide from the IRS. Above the flower museum we have Coco's house. Coco is an absolute cutie patootie. I'm not sure which side of the is she a coconut or an anthropomorphic gyroid debate I side with, but regardless, she's like Patrick in an episode of SpongeBob when they knock over the motorcycles. Coco is a normal villager and is usually seen around my island reading a book, so I gave her an outdoor library themed yard. I went a little extra with her yard because her design is so adorable and I felt like it was what she deserved. I really admire the designs of the rabbit villagers, and if I could have an entirely bunny themed island, I would. Resetting back to Resident Services, we are going to blow a kiss to DJ Ice Davis as we pass by him and enter the feudal fairy tale part of my island. On this portion of the island we have both Snake and Kabuki's houses. I am really happy with how this area turned out and I like how I was able to utilize with what little space I had. The Mario 35th anniversary is the latest update at the time of recording this video, and as you have seen a little bit, I got carried away with the amount of Mario items on my island. I was kind of tempted to add the red Zen bridge here, but wasn't sure if I had enough room and didn't want to risk buying a bridge and having nowhere to put it, so I just left a small patch of land in between the two ponds. Starting off with our two Asian-themed villagers, we have Snake's house. Snake is a jock villager and constantly reeks of testosterone. For some reason, he has always been Naruto running around my island and calls me cute things like on occasion. However, his drift and interior design are always in check, and being the only jock villager design I can tolerate, he won't be leaving Peen Island anytime soon. Next up, we have Kabuki's house. Kabuki is a cranky villager and is constantly giving disgruntled dad vibes. More of the same I said about Snake, I could also say about Kabuki, his drip and interior design are always in check, and it's probably one of the most unique designs of any villager I've seen. I love his literal kabuki aesthetic and was a villager I sought out for the longest time. I really wish I saw this absolute underrated Chad of a villager on more people's islands. Moving to the left of Snake's house, you'll pass under this Mario block awning into this little secluded area. Before we get into all the wacky furniture, I want to cover this pipe that I have tucked away in this corner real quick. This is my private beach that's only main purpose is to check if my cousin Red is on my island or not. I also have this part of my island fenced off so I don't have to worry about any other villagers walking past me when I use a turbo controller to wish on stars whenever there is a meteor shower. Leaving the warp pipe, we enter the museum area. Outside I have these custom design panels that are supposed to represent those infographic standees you typically see outside museums or national parks. I also have a bunch of space themed furniture outside because I think it's really dope and have nowhere else to put it. On the second level of the outside I have sort of a gift shop slash hands-on fossil exhibit area. I think this is a good point to flex my Critterpedia too. I have all the bugs, fish, and sea critters available in the game at the moment. I have no idea if they will add more, but they did add the art and sea creatures in with updates, so I assume it's a possibility. Speaking of the art, I don't have all the art pieces, but I have a majority of them. And I also have another confession to make while I'm here. I haven't looked inside any of the rooms of my museum for about half a year or so this is going to be the first time for me too, at least seeing it 100% that is. Instead of doing commentary, I'm just going to cue a montage of my almost complete museum starting now. Not gonna lie, that was actually pretty fucking dope. God, I love this game so much. Leaving the museum, we are treated to Lucky's house and his yard. As I mentioned before, Lucky is my second favorite villager, thus why I had to go all out for his villager yard. Lucky is manifesting spooky vibes all year round and has a yard decked out in spooky furniture to fit. I love the Halloween event and all the spooky furniture that came along with it. Lucky has his own pumpkin patch as well as his own basketball court to break some ankles in his free time. Being the lazy villager that Lucky is, I made sure he had a secluded private part of the island to eat as much candy as he desires. I would like to address that Lucky has not been confirmed guilty of murder, but I thought it was fitting that we remember the past Peen Island residents. This is by far one of my favorite parts of the island. We're nearing the end of the tour, so it's only fitting that we reset back to resident services and take the path to my house. We're going to walk past DJ Ice Davis and through the Asian themed area to get to the staircase right to where we arrive at the crib. Again, I'm not going to say much, just cueing a music montage or whatever, starting now. Ending at the music room, I would just like to say that yes, this is every KK Slider song in the game on the wall, as well as every KK Slider single in every music player. The only song I'm missing on my wall is KK Birthday, and that is only because KK gives you only one of them, and next year when I get another one in the mail, I'll add it to the wall. Going outside of my house, we're going to go through my personal pumpkin patch to check out my rainbow garden. While I don't have every type of flower represented here, I do at least have every color of flower in the game represented. This cute little rainbow garden area doubles as a calendar I made to document my first year playing the game. It starts up here with my birthday in January and goes clockwise all the way till December. This is by far my all-time favorite part of the island. I really wish I had Nova lights to place in between the months or something cool like that. We're going to reset to resident services again to have an opportunity to check out the left half of the island. Walking past the bulletin board, we're going to admire the modest campsite area I've managed to put together. Going back to the bulletin board, we're going to go to the left to check out the outdoor cafe. This is one of my most recent microenvironments I have built for my island and might switch it up later on down the road, but for the time being, I'm pretty satisfied with it. Moving clockwise, we're going to check out the residential clown, Pietro. I made Pietro's yard similar in vein to his house. My only regret is including the teacup carousel because it's so goddamn loud if you're playing with audio on. Pietro is a smug villager and surprisingly the last remaining villager from the original Peen Island Inception. Anyone who clowns on this villager and says that they're a disgrace to Animal Crossing is lying to you. Pietro is the homie and should be treated with respect. If anything, we should be targeting Joy for being a little baby bitch and not Pietro. Moving on from Pietro's house, we have his neighbor Bob. Bob's yard doesn't have much thought put into it, but it reflects his true feelings for me. I have given Bob countless expensive items of furniture and clothing. I even put the hub on his laptop and he simply won't give me his villager photo, and I've learned to come to terms with it after a year of trying. Bob is a lazy villager and just looks so chill no matter what he does. I can easily see why he is well loved and not sure if I see myself getting rid of him anytime soon. Moving back to where we started, we are going to check out the beach on this part of the island. There is obviously no coherent theme going on here. I'd love to put more thought into it in the future, but for the time being, all I can contribute is whatever outdoor furniture I could find. Further on from my second pathetic attempt at a beach, we see that to no one's surprise at this point, another garden flooded with flowers. The small beach area below has a real cute picnic area as well as a crafting table for making bait to use for fishing at the pier. I am really proud of how this area turned out and hope to add real counterparts to the fake statues you see here. Halfway through the little garden area we have Poppy's house. Poppy is a normal squirrel villager and is the latest to be added to my island. And by latest I mean I used her amiibo card and added her a week ago so I didn't have an empty plot on my island during this video. Poppy is the only squirrel villager with such an adorable design, and I'm absolutely obsessed with the fall aesthetic she has going on inside of her house. Going past Poppy's house, we have my rock garden. This was an absolute pain in the ass to put all the rocks in one place by placing custom design tiles all over my island, but it was worth it in the long run. This isolated rock garden area is also a tribute to the late great Froggy Chair. It has been over a year and we still don't have Froggy Chair in New Horizons. If Reggie wasn't still hung up on New Leaf, we'd have Froggy Chair in New Horizons horizons already. Going to the left of the rock garden, we're going to have the diving board area as well as some various themed furniture from Pascal and Gulliver. Moving upstairs, we get to the last area of interest on my island tour, the shopping district. This is another area of the island that I am super proud of and is part of the island that has remained mostly unchanged throughout my year of playing. Immediately to the right we have Nook's Cranny with all available upgrades at the time of recording, and to the right of that we have a staircase that leads downwards to Lucky's yard. Going a bit further up the main path we have a parking lot for various vehicles as well as the Able Sisters tailor shop with all available upgrades as well. Outside I have various custom design clothing that I've designed as well as some of the tailor equipment just for added pizzazz. I could see myself switching this area up a bit in the future, but it isn't necessarily a priority in my eyes. Moving to the right we have our last villager house, the one who shares an equally disgruntled dad vibe as Kabuki, Gaston. Jesus Christ, is Gaston a sexy motherfucker. Just look at that mustache and tell me you're not aroused. Gaston is similar to Pietro in the sense that he has been on my island for equally as long. Gaston is an absolute lad and I wish I saw him on more people's islands. Gaston does have a acquired taste for interior design however, and I made sure to do my best to replicate that as much as possible in his villager yard. The place where his house is now actually is where the outdoor cafe used to sit before I decided to spruce it up a bit more, which is why he has so much extra space compared to some of my other villagers. That is officially the end of the tour. I hope you found my island somewhat interesting and I hope you found this video entertaining to some extent too. I absolutely adore Animal Crossing New Horizons and don't see myself putting the game on the shelf anytime soon. Funny story, I actually bought the game digitally after having it physical for almost a year for the simple convenience of not having to take the game card in and out every time I wanted to play it. I do see myself playing the game less frequently than I used to, simply because I already have everything all customized and terraformed to my liking, but I do hope Reggie adds much more bigger and grandiose updates than the ones we got in 2020. A quality of life update would be nice, bulk crafting, unlimited at-home storage.
Just saying, that'd be nice.
If enough time passes and I have a lot more to show, or if I start a whole nother island entirely, I'd love to make another island tour video. Just as long as Jitters doesn't come back to sell more ketamine to my villagers, we should be fine. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have an amazing day.